Okay. How are we, people? How are we? Monday evening, Monday night, actually. It's 9:30. Fuck. I didn't realize it was late, actually. I literally just spent the last hour recording basically 4 videos for tomorrow. I don't know if I'll get them all up tomorrow, actually, truth be told. But 4 videos I got done in the space of an hour. I have to edit them as well. So that's gonna be fun getting those videos edited. Let's just see how this chat goes. Just bear with this. Let's get a few people in the chat and we'll see how we go. So there we go. We got a couple of people in there now. So yeah, I got a couple of videos coming out tomorrow. I think I recorded 4. We'll see how the 4 videos go. But as it stands, we've got 4 videos due tomorrow. Like I said, I edit them during the day. Some I'll do actually. Some I'll probably edit when I finish up here. But I'll edit some during the day and I'll finish them off at night. Me and Blue Collar went live exact same time. Oh, mate. I always try not to hit in with people as well when I live stream. Big Dan. Yeah, I always try and not do that. Because like I like taking part in some of the guys' live streams as well. It doesn't matter. Like we'll play ball. I'm recording my Let's Talk About Boxing, so we're sticking with it. You know, I'm only doing about a half hour or so anyway. Like I'm not doing a long one. So me and Dell, yeah. Yeah, I always try not to hit in with some of the guys because it's fun. We like doing it at the same time. We like doing our own thing. So I'll leave it up to you, Dan. Big Dan, you can pick who do you want to stay with. You can stay on mine. You can go on Dale's. It's either way. You can go back and forth between the two. Shout out to Blue Collar Sport TV though. I always like his live streams. They're always funny. They're always good crack. Bruce Lee, good evening all. Shout out. But yeah, no, they're always good fun. Blue Collar Sports TV's his live streams are always good fun. So always nice avatar, Bruce Lee. Nice avatar. Yeah, his are always good fun. He's a good guy, and yeah, he's inside. He's knowledgeable. Now him and Mark from Unrivaled Boxing, of course, you know that both guys are very very good. And yeah, we're gonna talk about this weekend's fights. I mean, this weekend was as in now when I say this weekend, I probably fucked up. I should have said last weekend's. And unlucky one that, mate. Yeah, look, it is what it is. Me and Blue Collar, we're cool. Like, I'll probably, if he's still going once I finish mine, I'll hop into his and maybe I'll even give him a super chat. Who knows? But yeah, you think that I can't pronounce the guy's name, but I know the guy. I think Walk was Fighter of the Year. Honestly, I haven't watched it. I'll be 100% honest. I am going to watch it. I've just had so much boxing to catch up with over this weekend. I haven't watched that fight, but I have heard that was seriously a good fight. It was Fight of the Year. I'm definitely going to watch it. I'll probably watch it tomorrow. Now, I'm not going to do a post-fight or anything like that, Dan, but I'm definitely going to watch it, give my 2 cents on it tomorrow. Definitely, because I've heard a lot of people telling me about it, but yesterday when I woke up, I was that boxed out, basically, because there was that much boxing on that weekend. Between doing the Friday show, that was a shit show on Saturday. Like that was one of the worst shows I've seen in a while. That Frank Warren show was piss. And then watching the fight Sunday morning, I watched Benavidez fight. I watched Jessica McCaskill, I think is how you pronounce it, beat that girl, whatever the hell her name was, Cecilia Breckhurst. Like I knew I could remember it. So yeah, man, there was that much fights on this weekend. Troll Network, shout out to him. There was that many fights on this weekend. I'm still trying to catch up on some of them. But with regards to the fights that we had on Sky, oh man, that was a good card. Like, man, I actually thought the first card on paper seemed the best. Like the one with Cheeseman and Eggington. But man, that card was fun to watch. I mean, I see your comment there. It was such a good fight, crazy fight. You watched the UFC. I did. I'm not a big UFC fan, but I watched Stipe Miocic versus DC. That was a good fight. I did watch that. Like I'm a proper. When I say I'm a casual UFC fan, I mean I am as casual as you'd want to get when it comes to UFC. I know hardly any of the guys. I knew DC from his fights with John Jones. And I remember the first time I ever watched DC versus John Jones when he got knocked out in the fight where Jones failed that drugs test after. So from then on, I watched a bit of DC from wherever he was fighting from then on in. And yeah, I thought that was a good fight. Stipe Miocic, he's a hell of a fighter. He is a hell of a fighter. For a heavyweight, and be interesting what he does. DC, he's calling the quits now. So I see a lot of people saying John Jones will beat Stipe Miocic. I mean, John Jones hasn't been looking too great lately, as John Jones not. So we'll see how he gets on there. But yeah, no, I did watch Stipe versus DC. It was fun watching. Keep the live stream up, G man. I'll listen later tonight. Yeah, man. Visual takes, do man. Me and Dale boy, we hit in at bad times. We hit in at bad times. I don't mind, man. I don't mind. Pick whichever live stream you want to do. I'm just going to keep this going for a bit. Like, if I'd known it was as late as it was, because as I said, I just finished recording a couple of videos. So if I'd known it was as late as it was, I probably would have just let this go probably till tomorrow. But look, here's what it is. Can't change it now. It's done now. PBC are going to get smashed on every single pay-per-view because the pay-per-views have open up. Yeah, they do. They do indeed. I think is it the Charlo fight that's clashing with a pay-per-view? I think it is. That's clashing with some pay-per-view. So yeah, PBC they pick bad times to put their pay-per-views on. They sure as hell did. But what can you do? I mean, if you remember when Canelo was fighting Kovalev, they had to prolong that for an hour. I'll never forget. That was horrible. They had to prolong that whole thing for an hour because it was cutting in with Masvidal. Masvidal versus what's the guy's name? I forget who we fought that night. But yeah, that was a pain in the arse, especially because I was staying up to watch that fight. I just wanted to go sleep. By the time that fight was over, I was just like, get me to fucking bed. I'm tired. So yeah, I don't like it when they do that, because it's not that I don't like it, but I don't like it when if they clash, so be it. But it's when they start fucking, pushing it back. So pushing the main event back, pushing the rest of the card back. That's when it's annoying, especially if you've been staying up all night just to flip and watch it. Man, it can get annoying when that happens. But yeah, PBC, they're in for a rough time. They've got good fights. Like, I'll always pick boxing over UFC, regardless. So it doesn't matter to me as long as the fights are good. I'll watch the boxing. But yeah, UFC, they're definitely, they've showed boxing how it's done. They really have. Like, the fight. Think of it like this: like, they put DC versus Stipe on big pay-per-view fight. That's a hell of a fight. And boxing can't put on a fight like that. They can put on Povetkin versus Whyte, but there's no way they put on like cards of that magnitude. No way they could do that. So, boxing, they're a little bit behind, but what can you do? 100% PBC already making a financial loss every time. Yeah. PBC, I think Big Dan is telling me here, clash with Costa versus Agostina. Davis card clashes with Khabib, Justin Gaethje. Yeah, looking forward to that fight. I'll watch that. Well, I'll obviously watch the Tank Davis fight, but Khabib, they're gonna put. I reckon they'll push that back. They're clashing in with Khabib. Oh man, they'll have to push that back. They'll definitely have to push that one back. And Spence card clashes with Figueiredo versus what's that guy's name? I know the guy, Garbante. What's his first name? I forget. I know the guy you're on about there, but I can't remember his first name. Like, I'm a proper casual UFC fan. The Khabib Justin Gaethje fight, that's a good fight, man. That they'll push that Tank Davis fight back 2 weeks. Someone will get. Do you know what will happen? Someone will come down with, do you know what? And then they'll have to self-isolate for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then we'll have the fight. That'll be what will happen. And it might. Do you know what? Right. It might not even be Davis or Leo. It might be someone on the card, and they'll just say, right, rather than scrap it, we'll just push it back a couple of weeks. That's probably Cody. I knew it. Cody, yeah, thanks for that. I knew the guy's name. I could think of the guy's name in my head, but I just couldn't remember what his name was. And yeah, so UFC, there are some good cards. It's annoying when that happens because, like I said, I'm not a big UFC fan, to say the least, but I do like watching it the odd time, especially if there's big names like, Khabib and stuff like that. So, it's not nice when you've got big cards clashing with big cards in boxing and big in UFC. Like, I'll always pick the boxing, definitely. I don't think there's any card I'd ever go for with UFC that, unless the boxing card was absolutely shocking, like last weekend's Fish Eyes card, I'd always go for boxing. That Fish Eyes card on Saturday was fucking awful. I mean, that was just a joke. They had it in the York Hall. The York Hall didn't look too bad. It looked better than the BT studio. But you Carl Frampton looking like he could have been as less interested in that fight than anything. Literally, he could have just been as less interested, and he just went through the motions, and then just the minute he stepped on the gas, he got the guy out of there. You had Michael Conlan. I can't watch Michael Conlan. He is such a boring fighter. Oh my god, like he's not. I don't understand why he gets so much hype. And like I'm from Ireland, and there's not a lot of good fighters who are Irish, but god damn, I just can't understand. I just can't watch Michael Conlan. He's just so boring. I watched the 10 rounds. He throws a hell of a lot of low blows. Shout out to Mark from Unrivaled. Big shout out to you. What is up, bro? What is up? Who do we have? Yeah, oh man, Smith versus Alvarez. I can't wait for that fight. That's going to be a good fight. I'm looking forward to that. I think Joe Smith's going to win that fight. That's my prediction then and there. I think Joe Smith's going to win that fight, probably on points. I think both guys are probably have seen better days, but I think Joe Smith might have a few more miles left in the tank. I think he'll win that fight on points. I think he'll outwork him. I think he'll outwork Elite Alvarez. Elite Alvarez can box though, but I think he'll outwork Elite Alvarez. I'm looking forward to that fight though. Big fan of Joe Smith. Frank Warren's card was disappointing. I thought it was going to be a good card because of William Scarf. Yeah, that was actually a good fight. Like that was not bad. No, it really wasn't. That was actually a decent little fight. And yeah, Williams and Scarf, grand fight, started the card off well, went downhill straight after that. I mean, Archie Sharp looked terrible against that Jeff, what was it, Oban guy or whatever the guy's name was, the guy who fought Harry Davison. He looked terrible against him. Then with Conlan, that was just a stinker. And then Frampton, like Dennis McCann, got to see a bit of him. He's looking quite decent. And it's weird. Like I thought the British boxing board said they'd only allow 5 fights, but we had 6 fights because Paddy Donovan got a first round knockout on this card as well. He knocked that Des Newton guy out. So Paddy Donovan is a good little shout. He's not looking too bad. But yeah, man, I just couldn't understand how poor this card was. Like it was terrible. And the problem was, right, Friday night, I watched the Eddie Hearn card and all the fights, even the Anthony Fox fight was pretty good. Like that was decent. Like I know Anthony Fox is a journeyman, but he's a game journeyman. You could tell he was game in that fight. And man, the fights were fun. Like that Shannon Courtney fight. I know women's boxing, I've said it myself that I don't normally tend to cover women's boxing and stuff like that, but that was a fun fight. 10 people in the chat. Go on, smash the like button. Smash the like button if you haven't already. But that Shannon Courtney fight was fun. That Rachel Ball, she's not amazing in terms of her boxing ability. She's not. I don't like redheads. Just throw that out there right now. I don't go for redheads at all. So when I say she's not amazing, she's just not amazing in terms of her boxing. But I thought she won the fight. I mean, Matthew Macklin, he is a idiot of a commentator. Like that was bullshit. What he was saying on commentary about what was going on. Shannon Courtney done fuck all in that fight. Like she landed a couple of shots here or there, but the most part she was just getting her head snapped back with jabs. And he was like, great head movement. Can't wait for Eddie Hearn's show. Great on Saturday night. They should be charging us to watch. They should be charging us more to watch it. I hope not, because my Sky subscription, mate, is dear enough as it is. So I don't know. I'm paying for pay-per-view this weekend as well. My Sky subscription, I cry when that money leaves my account every month. It's 170 quid a month I pay on Sky. Yeah, I literally cry when that leaves my account every month because I have the full package. I have everything. I have movies, on demand, everything. And I cry when I see that amount leave my account every month. So I seriously hope not. I hope they don't charge me anymore. Shouldn't be getting charged anything if it shouldn't be. There you go, Big Dan. You tell him. You tell him, Big Dan. No, I literally cry whenever I see that money leave my account every month because mate, I don't make that much money. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. Tommy Hagler says Macklin, Bellew, and Nelson need replacing. They won't replace them, but I'd love it if they did. I mean, I'll explain the 3 of these, right? Johnny Nelson's been on it the longest, right? Johnny Nelson, the man who said that Tony Bellew was technically better than Alexander Usyk. I mean, that says it all there. Tony Bellew, I mean, some of the things he does, like that's one of the reasons why they get him on the AJ fights. He always commentates on the AJ fights because he is such a brown nose to AJ. Like he's the biggest arse kisser of AJ I've ever seen. So they always get him on for that. And Matthew Macklin has been with Sky for a couple of years now. And Do you know actually what it is, right? Do you know what annoys me most about Sky and their commentary, right? It's not the fact that they're always so biased. Like, that is annoying. But when you put them on international cards, like for example, when Ward fought Kovalev the first time, Sky commentated on that fight, right? I think Macklin was even commentating on that fight. I know Adam Smith was and Paulie Malignaggi was, but I think Matthew Macklin was commentating on it as well. And I tell you, they were fine. They literally, I had no issue with the commentary. They were all right. They didn't, they weren't like either or fighter. And obviously, both fighters weren't matchroom fighters, obviously. But it always annoys me because they can actually do decent commentary when they fucking want to. But the minute they get the Sky fighters on, all objectivity goes out the window, and they just focus on what the Sky guy is doing, what the matchroom fighter is doing, and that's it. So it always bugs me when you see Sky on these international fight nights, and they can fucking do good commentary when they fucking want to, but they just decide, no, once we get our Sky, like our matchroom prospects on, and this, that, and the other, we'll just, arse kissed a lot of them. Matthew Macklin was a disgrace on commentary the weekend, and I think sometimes with Sky, they bring other commentators down to their level. Like Andy Lee, I rate him as a commentator. I think he's a very good commentator, but I'm not sure which fight it was. I think it might have been Callum Smith when he fought John Ryder. And I remember Andy Lee was I think it was Callum Smith anyway. It might have been a different fight, but it was in around that time. It was like November last year. And Andy Lee was so pro. I think it was Callum Smith. It was crazy to the point where he was missing a lot of stuff that was going on. And he's not normally like that. Andy Lee is normally very good on commentary. He normally calls it like it is, and he's normally, straight to the point. But he was real biased on commentary. So I always find that when you get, and same Barry Jones sometimes, when you get guys who are good on commentary most of the time, when they're with Sky or they're with BT, they can almost get brought down to their level, to like Matthew Macklin's level and stuff like that, where they just start missing what's actually going on in there, and they only focus on what one specific fighter is doing, and they won't focus. Like, I'll never forget that second round in that Shannon Courtney fight. Rachel Ball lands a right hand, Matthew Macklin, excellent right hand from Shannon Courtney. I was like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be fucking kidding me. I know HBO, some people were making jokes about Jim Lampley calling a right hand from Kovalev once that didn't land. But at least from where they were standing, it looked like it might have landed. At least he threw the right hand. This was just Shannon Courtney getting hit with a right hand and Matthew Macklin saying, great right hand from Shannon Courtney. It was BS. Let's take a quick sip. Have the water, people. No alcohol this time. I never stream when I'm drinking anyway. £170, shit the bed. Well, it's euros, mate. And I mean, that's why I am praying. I'm crossing everything that the zone come along and take all the boxing. So they take UK boxing from Matchroom, and they take the US fights, and they put them on the app, because then I can just cancel the sport, because I can stream the football, or I can go over to one of the lads' houses to watch it. I don't mind not having the football. Same with F1. I can stream the races. It's not the end of the world. But the boxing I need. The boxing I desperately need. And I don't want to be paying 170 quid a month, because it's dear. I do have 170 quid a month to spend, but I don't want to spend it on Sky. That's a no-go. Especially if I'm trying to like save, like to move, because I'm thinking of moving. It's just a thinking process. We're not committing to anything yet, but mate, it's not fun. It's dear. Why won't that let me bring up there we go. Whyte looking in great shape. I'm worried about the new trainer. Well, I'm worried about the new trainer myself, but he is looking in great shape because he is training over there in Portugal. And in Portugal, a lot of things, I think people will know what I mean. A lot of things that are not allowed in the UK, they're allowed over there in Portugal. Make it that what you will. So that's why I suspect he's looking in great. And I don't believe there's VADA testing for this fight. So Povetkin, I'm sure, will look in good shape as well. So that's one of the reasons why. But I am worried about the new trainer. I have my prediction video coming on Wednesday. Haven't recorded the prediction video yet. I'm recording it tomorrow. But I've been looking at Dylan Whyte, and I've been looking at him with the way Javier Miller, or was it? Yeah, it's Javier Miller has had him fighting side on. And I mean, I'm not. I don't think you should fight Povetkin like that. But you'll hear about it more on Wednesday when I give my prediction. You use Crack Streams. Yeah, Crack Stream is very good. It's actually very good. It's a very good streaming website, actually. I have the link. One of my friends gave me the link. I use them all the time. They're a very good streaming website. You get it on Xbox as well. It's actually a quality streaming website. See, I don't see, like, I'm kind of in two ways, right? I have to stream. Well, I don't have to stream, but if I want a thumbnail, and some people will say that's clickbait. I don't think it is personally, because I'm telling you there's no footage. But if I want to put a picture of the fight in, I kind of need a stream going on my phone so I can take a screenshot. And I like having the TV going because it's HD, so I get good quality, so I can watch the fight in high definition. So I always end up like paying for a pay per view, and then having to stream it on my phone at the same time just so I can get something. It is a bit crazy, but that's what I've been doing for the last year and a half on YouTube. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Unless the card is absolutely shit, in which case I won't. I don't pay for it. And what I mean was, if I know the card is going to be a write off, then I won't pay for it. Macklin will be with Sky for years because he's MTK. Yeah, you see, that's the thing. That's the thing, Big Dan. Matthew Macklin will be with Sky for years because of MTK. But, like, well, what can you do? What can you do? I mean, I think that if the Zone take over match, they won't take over Matchroom, but that's the wrong way to describe it. But if Matchroom exclusively work with the Zone, and Sky have to work with various different promoters like they used to. Like, remember when they used to work with Mick Hennessy, they used to work with Frank Warren, they used to work with Frank Maloney back in the day, and what was Dave Colwell. Obviously, there was no one promoter, there was no horse in the race, so it was all different promoters, and loads of them had, different fighters. So the commentary back about 10 years ago was a lot more, and yes, it was a better commentary team. They had Jim Watt, they had Ian Dark, they had, what was the guy's name? Was it Nick Campbell or something like that? I forget the guy's name. They had a better commentary setup. They still had Adam Smith, Johnny Nelson, but they couldn't be biased towards one specific group of fighters, because you had Frank Warren, you had Frank Maloney, you had Dave Colwell. I think you did have Mick Hennessy briefly on there as well. So they had all different promoters. And they even had Eddie Hearn, I think, at some stage. So they had all different promoters. So they couldn't really be biased towards one specific group. So it was a bit better. Whereas now it's just Matchroom, and it's just Shannon Courtney gets the head boxed off her, but she's landing great right hands. I mean, and again, they call that fight a robbery. I'll talk about that now in a sec. What's your opinion on Frank's show since boxing's return? I'll leave that on screen. I'll tell you now in a second. I'm just got to finish what I was saying there. Fuck, mate, I forgot now what I was going to say. Yeah, about Shannon Courtney. I've seen loads and loads and loads of people say that fight was a robbery, and they're literally saying it's a robbery, and they're giving it to Shannon Courtney by 1 point. Robberies, as far as I'm concerned, are when a fighter has clearly won that fight by a couple of rounds. An 8-rounder like that, to call that a robbery, I think that's silly. I think that's very silly to say that Shannon Courtney was robbed when it was a close fight. I thought that Rachel Ball won that fight, just nicked it. There was a couple of swing rounds there, but to say that fight was a robbery, I mean, like, every single time it seems in boxing nowadays, we have a close fight that could go either way, it's a robbery. I mean, like, if they'd given Shannon Courtney that fight, I didn't think she won, to be honest with you, but I definitely thought that, I wouldn't have been moaning personally if they gave it to Shannon Courtney, but I definitely don't think it was a robbery. And all these people saying, I scored at 76, 75, so it's a robbery. It's like, you've it by 1 point. That's like, you've even just said it. You have it by 1 point. That's a close fight. Anyone can see that is a close fight. I mean, like, a robbery is like Manny Pacquiao versus Tim Bradley in the first fight. A robbery is like Zach Parker versus Darrell Williamson. If you ever seen that fight, that was a robbery. A robbery is like what Mark has on screen there. Rolly Romero versus Martinez. Like, robberies are like that, where one fighter clearly wins but doesn't get it. And sometimes another good example actually of a robbery is when what's the guy's name? I know the guy's name. I just can't remember it. He fought Jamie McDonnell. Oh, he fought Riggindale. Mark, if he's in the chat, he'll know the guy's name. Is he Cuban? Laborio Solis, I think it is. That was a robbery. And that was a bad robbery because Laborio Solis won that fight clearly, and they gave it to McDonnell by wide margins. Israel Gonzalez, when he fucking beat Cal Yafai, and they gave it to Cal Yafai by wide margins, they're robberies. This Shannon Courtney fight wasn't a robbery. Robbery is arguably the most over. Yeah, it is. Well, especially when you have people coming out saying, I scored it to one fighter by a single point, so it's clearly a robbery that she didn't get it. It's like, huh? Well, what? A single point? Yeah, Laborio Solis. Yeah, no. I figured it out. I knew the guy's name, but I just couldn't remember it. Laborio Solis. I knew the guy's name. He was robbed against Jamie McDonald badly. I remember one scorecard was real wide for Jamie McDonald, and that was BS. Same with Gonzalez when he fought Yafai. There's a lot of robberies happening with those Monaco cards when Eddie Hearn was putting those cards out of Monaco. I want to get back to actually 86 Comp Geeks question because I ignored that. What's your opinion on Frank Show since boxing started? Not great at all. Not great at all. Like last weekend's show was pretty garbage. To be honest, it was garbage. It was garbage. There's no ifs or buts. I mean, Frampton was fighting a British level guy who James Tennyson wiped out in 3 rounds a couple of years ago. Michael Conlon was fighting that French guy, something Takushi, the guy Josh Warrington wiped out. And Josh Warrington not know it was a puncher. It took Mick Conlon 10 rounds and a shitload of low blows to get rid of the guy. That's something with Mike Conlon I've noticed a lot. Like I've noticed that for a while now. He's been throwing a lot of low blows. It seems like whenever he starts throwing a load of low blows, he gets the guy out of there with body shots. Because he done that when he fought in Fall Park last year. He was throwing a hell of a lot of low blows, and he got the guy out with body shots. Same again when he fought Takush. Takush throws the low blows and then gets the guy out of there. 16 people in the chat. Smash that like button. We're having fun tonight. Boxing fans love to call a close fight a robbery. Yeah, they do. They do. I don't like calling a fight a robbery unless I've watched it. I know, right, this guy's won this fight, and then they give it to someone else. Then I'm like, what the fuck? But when a fight is close and it can go either way, it's just like, yeah, look, if it goes to him, it goes to him. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But calling fights robberies, when you, like I said, when you literally have one fighter winning by a single point, you can't call that a robbery. You call that a close fight. If that's the case, then every fucking fight is a robbery. I mean, if someone wins 3 scorecards of 5-7, that's a robbery. I mean, Keith Thurman, I think when he fought Sean Porter, they were off 5 rounds to 7. Some people felt Sean Porter should have won that fight. I mean, was that a robbery? No, it wasn't. It was a great fight. Keith Thurman versus Sean Porter. It was a hell of a fight. But was that a robbery? No, it wasn't. But people love, Frank should be sent to a retirement home. I think Warren is, I don't think Warren is going to be in boxing much longer, especially if the way his shows are going, if they stay on the decline as they have been, because it's not just lockdown. And I said this in my last stream. It's not just lockdown with Frank Warren that has affected his shows. They were on the downward spiral pre-lockdown. Like you'd watch let's put it like this, right? I'll watch an Eddie Hearn card, right? And I am happy to cover 3, maybe even 4 of the fights on that card because they're competitive fights, they're interesting fights, they're fighters that I rate or I think could do something, or fighters that I find entertaining. Like I don't really rate Anthony Fowler or Zelfa Barrett, but I find them both entertaining, so I'll cover their fights. Whereas with Frank Warren, it's just like, well, who is he? Who is he? He's fighting an absolute nobody. I don't particularly rate 1 or 2 of these fighters. So you're only focusing on maybe the main event. And even then, it might not be that great. So with Frank Warren, his shows have just been going downhill, rapidly downhill. Like, even when BT Sports started with Frank Warren and some of the shows weren't that bad in terms of what they were like, they weren't great either. Whereas Eddie Hearn is a lot more consistent. I think he's more consistent with putting on good shit. Now, to be fair, he does have a deeper roster. That has to be said. He does have more talented fighters. He's got, a lot of Team GB guys coming through. But even still, like he's been putting Frank Warren to shame with these fight camps. And I actually quite like the setup. I think he's even said himself he might even do it. Even when fans are let back in, he might do once a year fight camp. I wouldn't mind it. Like, I actually quite like it. And the only issue I have with fight camp is we don't have enough fights. The British board are strict on that 5 fights. I'd love it if they had more fights. Seriously. Frank Warren and Bob Arum were around when the dinosaurs were knocking about. Yeah, man. How old is... I know Warren has got to be... If he's not in his 60s, late 60s, he's got to be in his 70s. How old is Frank Warren, actually? He's got to be in his late 60s, early 70s. Has to be. He's 68. How old is Bob Arum? Bob Arum is well in his 80s. Definitely well and truly in his 80s. 88 years old. He'll be 89 in December. Man, some of these old guys, they still have it. They still have a lot of fight in them. I don't know what it is. If anyone's ever watched F1, right, the old owner, we'll call him, of F1 was a guy called Bernie Eccleston. Bernie Eccleston is 89 years old. He's going on 90, I think, in October. And he's recently just had a baby with his missus. And imagine that, an 89-year-old dad. Man, that's fucked up. So some of these old guys, they still have life in them. Imagine that. Imagine being oh, that's fucked up. That is fucked up. 89-year-old dad going on 90. That is fucked up. Frank is 60. Yeah, no, he is 68. He is 68. What was the fight that got you into boxing? I don't know. Like, it wasn't really necessarily fights that got me into boxing, believe it or not. It was more so my friends years ago. How many years has it been? Like 8, 9 years now. When he showed me some, I obviously have heard of Muhammad Ali, but he showed me a lot of Muhammad Ali trash talking, and I thought it was really, I thought he was funny as shit. So I ended up watching a lot of Muhammad Ali, and I think if I had to pick one fight, it would probably be Ali versus Foreman, because my friend is still is he's a big George Foreman fan, so he would talk about George Foreman and show me these Muhammad Ali videos. So I ended up being curious, and I watched Ali Foreman, watched the whole fight, and I was like, "Oh, this is great! This is amazing!" And obviously, that's 70s boxing, and at the time, I think Canelo was fighting. Who was he fighting? Was it Josecito? No, it wasn't. It was that Lopez guy. Who was it he fought? I remember the guy's name. He fought Arturo Gatti. I just can't remember the guy's name. I think he fought Arturo Gatti anyway. Can't remember the guy's name, but I'll get it here on BoxRec, because I remember he knocked the guy out in 5 rounds. It was, yeah, it was, yeah, actually was Josecito Lopez. Don't even think he fought Gatti, but I know he fought someone like that. But Canelo was fighting Josecito Lopez at the time. And I heard about Canelo. So I ended up watching that fight. I think I watched it on YouTube not long after. And pretty much from then on, I wasn't really a hardcore fan until probably about a year later. Like, I was a big boxing fan. I wasn't one of these guys who'd only watch the big fights. I would look for fights, but I didn't religiously like watch it. So like whenever there was a fight card on that I knew in advance was on, I'd watch it. But if there wasn't, I just wouldn't be looking for it. And sometimes I'd stumble across a fight card and I'd watch it. So it was things like that. So mainly Ali Foreman and probably Canelo versus Lopez. They'd be like the two main fights that spring to mind when people ask me, what got me into boxing. So those two definitely. And like I try and be objective on this channel, and I've criticized them plenty, and I've no doubt I'll criticize him again. But I've watched plenty of Canelo, and I'm always going to be a fan of Canelo, because he was one of the first like fighters of this era that I really got to watch, and I really got to know. And I've seen pretty much all of his fights live, pretty much them all. I don't think I saw Lara live, and I don't think I saw. I definitely didn't see Rocky Fielding live. I know what I was doing that night, and I was definitely not. I definitely wasn't going to stop what I was doing to watch Canelo versus Field, and I'll just leave it at that. I remember that night well. So they're the only two Canelo fights that I haven't seen live. The rest I've all seen live, and yeah, I always watch Canelo live. I always stay up or wake up to watch Canelo live. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. Those were the two fights that really got me into boxing. Let's go back and look at some of these other comments from Big Dan, if he's still in the chat. I think they will do is take the piss with the Zone UK. I think they're gonna have it as an add-on where you can buy. Oh man, I hope not. I seriously hope not. If they're gonna do it, just do it right. Just give us the app. Just give us the app. Let us have the boxing. Let us just have boxing on the app. None of this BS of, oh, you can get the US fights on the app, but you're gonna have to pay a subscription to this, that, and the other. No, mate, no. Just let us have the goddamn app. Let us have our boxing, and because I think eventually that's the way it's gonna go. They're just gonna bring it on the stream platform sooner or later. They might do big, like, I mean, I know the Zone have said that they are a stream platform, but they will do a pay-per-view if it's a massive fight. Now, probably Fury Joshua, they probably decide to, go pay-per-view probably with that fight, maybe. But I think for the most part, pay-per-view is it seems like it's going. It seems like pay-per-view is on its way out. Which is like At the end of the day, like I think I've already explained in this chat, right? I pay 170 quid a month to Sky. 170. I cry when I see that amount leave my account every month. And then I'm having to pay pay-per-views as well. Like it's not fun, you know? It's not fun. And like I said, I'm not someone who makes that much money. I have to work full time and then I make fuck all from YouTube. Very little. Very, very little. So, it is what it is. So that's what it's like. That's what you got to deal with. You were supposed to get the zone in New Zealand in May, but delayed due to COVID. Like that over here, mate. We were meant to get it in May. I thought the zone was already in New Zealand. Maybe no, it wasn't actually. Yeah, no. It was like that over here. We were meant to get it in May. Like the plan originally was that the zone launches and we get Canelo versus Billy Joe as like our first official fight with the zone app. I was all for that. That was a good idea. And I think that was the fight that would have got a lot of bias, or would have got a lot of subscriptions, I should say. So yeah, you know what came in and ruined it. And in New Zealand, you guys are back in lockdown, or so I hear anyway, allegedly. So, God only knows when we're going to get it, when we're going to get the Zone app over here and in New Zealand. I'll be downloading, I'll be getting it as soon as it comes, and I'll be paying for it. I don't mind, because I already pay for a darts TV subscription, which gives me plenty of free darts. Well, not free darts, but it gives me all the darts I want whenever it's on, which is good because there's a lot of darts behind closed doors. There was always darts behind closed doors, regardless of COVID. That was always the thing. It was always done behind closed doors. Just the big TV tournaments that you got on TV. So I don't mind paying that. It's 50 quid a year. So 50 quid a year is fine. But yeah, I hope they don't muck around and do something like you get the zone fights in the US on the app. That's no problem. But you have to pay still a subscription for US or UK Matchroom shows. I hope they don't do anything like that. They'd ruin it. I hope not. Who's your favorite active British fighter? Depends really what level you're talking about. Like if you're talking about world, who'd be my favorite? Who'd be my favorite in terms of like just sheer entertainment? Probably AJ or Fury, because I like watching both those guys, and Dylan Whyte. I like the three of them, but probably AJ just in terms of sheer entertainment. I know the Ruiz fight wasn't entertaining, but before that, AJ was always entertaining. In terms of like British and like European level stuff like that, who'd be my favorite at that level? Don't know. Don't know. It's interesting. Like I like a lot. There's a lot of British fighters I like. Really, there's a lot of them I like watching. I would probably say, although I criticize him a lot, I do like Billy Joe as well. Do you know what? Right, although he's a bit all over the shop, I would say one of my favorites to watch is Scott Fitzgerald. He's just a bit mental. He's just a bit all over the shop, but when he's actually in the ring fighting, he's fun to watch. I don't mind watching Scott Fitzgerald fight. Same with Ted Cheeseman. He gets hit a lot, but he's always in good fights. So guys like that I like at British level. And at world level, obviously, we get, AJ, Fury, Dylan Whyte. Yeah, you're back in lockdown. It sucks. Oh, mate. Mate. My heart goes out to you over there in lockdown. At least you got G-Man live streams that killed some of the boredom. I hope to go. We will go back into lockdown eventually, I reckon, over here. I reckon we will. Even though I don't think it's necessarily necessary, they'll probably do it anyway. They'll probably do it anyway over here. Even though I don't think they should, but just from the way everything's been sounding, they're probably going to do it sooner or later. They'll pull the trigger on it, probably next month at some stage. I reckon. That's just my opinion, but I reckon they'll pull the trigger and do another, probably reduced lockdown. They probably won't do full blown like March lockdown where we couldn't do fucking anything, but they'll probably do a bit more serious lockdown. Like for example, I work in the office 2 days a week and 3 days at home. They'll probably say like, oh, no more office. You have to work from home now. Stuff like that. They'll do something like that over here, I reckon. They'll do something like that over here. But as it stands, we're okay. We're okay as it stands. You separated the art from the arts of Billy Joe. A bit of a plank, but great to watch when he fancies it. Yeah, like Billy Joe frustrates the hell out of me. He does. He frustrates the goddamn hell out of me, because you're talking about a fighter when he's on his game and he's like switched on and ready to go, he is talented. There's no ifs or buts. He is a talented fighter. He can do a lot of good things in the ring, but it's just, is he switched on? Has he trained properly? Has he been, it's all this. You just don't know what you're going to get with him. If you get a Billy Joe fighting like you fought when he fought Lemieux, you get a great Billy Joe. You get like just poetry in motion with Billy Joe. But we just don't get enough of that. He's just so sporadic. And whereas now, with the way he's been talking, I think he's just looking for one big payday, and then he's going to take his payday, sail off into the sunset. And I don't think he's going to get it, because at the end of the day, like, my way of looking at it was Billy Joe was Canelo's route to a title, a legit title at 168 pounds. That was the way I was looking at it. But I'm seeing reports now where they're saying Canelo might actually get to fight for the vacant WBC super middleweight title, because Yildirim, and I have a video on this tomorrow coming out, Avni Yildirim is the mandatory for the WBC title. So he gets a crack at the vacant title. They've said that Callum Smith, as the Diamond champion, may get second preference, but David Benavidez is looking to fight for it again, because he never officially lost it. And Canelo Alvarez has requested to fight for the WBC vacant super middleweight world title. And we all know Canelo is the darling of the WBC. That goes without saying. They love Canelo like a son. They will not do anything. They love Canelo WBC. So if he wants to fight for that title, they might make a loophole and let Canelo fight for it. So Canelo could kill two birds with one stone. If you think about it like this, three birds actually in one stone. He could fight this year. He could fight for a world title, a legit world title at 168 pounds, and he could get a cheap opponent. Because if he fights Yildirim, well, he's not going to be in there with much fighting Yildirim. Let's face facts. He's going to be in there with, someone who he'll probably have a field day with, and he'll be able to fight and get his like legit title. He'll be able to get a cheap opponent. He'll be able to do it all. Literally everything he wanted to do with regards to opponents and stuff like that, he'll be able to get it done if he fights Yildirim. So I reckon they'll be trying to get that fight over the line ASAP. They will be trying their darndest to get that Yildirim fight, to get his name as, the mandatory or something like that. And the fact that he's franchise champion at 160, they'll probably make from loophole where, they'll say like, all right, 160-pound champion, franchise champion. Yeah, you can fight for your title at, this weight. So I think that is what it is. Who knows? Who knows what they'll do? I want to catch up on some of these other comments. I think I missed a few. I think I missed someone's comment, definitely. Because I know it was one I was looking at. Oh, yeah, Babic. Yeah, the Croatian guy. He's fighting Winters. Yeah. Winters is game. He is. He actually is. I actually was surprised how, I don't want to say good, because he certainly wasn't good, but Winters has some talent there. I noticed that when he fought Parker. There's definitely a bit of talent with Charles Winters. It's just his age and his weight. He's 39 going on 40. He's really a cruiserweight. Alan Babic. He's really a cruiserweight. But Alan Babic, what's funny is Joseph Parker's had, nearly 30 fights, and he fought Winters in his last fight. Babic is only 3-0. So it'd be interesting to see. And, one thing I've noticed from YouTube, it's just from doing YouTube videos, Croatian boxing, people like it when we talk about their boxers. I mean, like, I've done a couple of videos on Filip Hrgovic. I mean, I think one of them I done on Hrgovic has something like 26,000 views. It's crazy. And I can check the analytics and the geography of where the views are coming from. They're all from, well, not all, obviously, but the majority of them are from Croatia. So obviously people in Croatia like their boxers, or they don't have many, so they support the ones they do have. And I know people from Croatia. I must actually ask them, that I even know if Hrgovic or Babic. But I'll be looking at Babic on the weekend to see how he looks. Like, it's not a terrible card. It's not, but I'm missing the Bakoli Kuzma fight. Well, Whyte Povetkin, good fight. He's got the diamond belt on the line. Taylor Pursuing, I'll be covering that fight. I'm going to admit it, people. I'm going to admit it. It's growing on me. Women's boxing is actually growing on me. I'm starting to enjoy it more. I'm honestly, I'm saying this now. I'm starting to enjoy the women's boxing more. It's growing on me. So I'll be covering Katie Taylor. I have never covered, I don't think, a Katie Taylor fight ever. And considering I've covered Shannon Courtney, I've never covered Katie Taylor. So I'm going to cover this one. Um, honestly, God, I've been enjoying these women's fights the last few weeks. They've actually not been bad. If we need to get longer rounds for women's boxing, we definitely do. Because I notice it myself when I'm watching it. It's really only now, the last few weeks, I've started really sitting down and watching women's boxing and seeing it. They need 3 minutes because 2 minutes isn't enough time to get the work done. It seems like they're warming into that round and then it's over. They need to bring the 3 minute rounds into that women's boxing. And I still think they need smaller gloves. Even if you're using 8 ounces, give them 6 ounces. If you're using 10 ounces, give them 8 ounces. That's what I think they should do. 3 minute rounds and go 2 ounces smaller on the gloves. You'll have more knockouts. It'll be better. That's what I think they need to do. Personally, it's just my opinion, but I think that will improve women's boxing. I'm not impressed with their level of talent necessarily. I think the talent isn't great, but in terms of just sheer, I'm watching boxing for entertainment, and I've been entertained. I'll admit, I've been entertained by these women the last few weeks. So long may it continue, and I'll keep covering the fights. Like I said, if I'm entertained and intrigued by a fight, I'll cover it. That's my thoughts on Taylor pursuing. I think Kate Taylor probably win that fight, though. I suspect she will anyway. I mean, the first fight was good, but we'll see how she does in this fight. Cullen versus Chelly, decent fight. I mean, I thought Zach Chelly was still with Frank Warren in terms of him being promoted by him. So I guess that L, Frank Warren said, see you later. Luda Clay, Chris Congo, good fight. Looking forward to that. And then Alan Babich versus Winters. It's not, like I said, it's not a terrible card. Not to say the least. It's a decent card. So, I'll definitely be tuning in. I'll be looking forward to it. Like I said, 10 people in the chat. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Thank you, people. Been enjoying this. Let's talk about boxing. Been enjoying doing this. I think I went from doing a stream once every 2 months to doing a Let's Talk About Boxing once a week. And as long may it continue, I will keep doing Let's Talk About Boxing because these are fun. Get the fans in, get a few guys in the chat. If maybe some night weeks I'll get Mark on, or if anyone else wants to come on some weekends. I kind of like doing these on my own, but if Mark ever wants to hop on, he's more than welcome to. But yeah, I like these Let's Talk About Boxing. See it, comment in the chat there. 2 secs. I wasn't looking at the chat. Did you see Dennis McCann on Sunday? He looks good. Prospects, fish eyes, put him on at midnight. Thought everyone was a bet. I did see it actually. I did. No, I knew he was on that card. I just knew he was on as a late one. Yeah, I did. I like what I'm seeing with Dennis McCann, I have to say. He's only young. He's only 19 years old, something like that. So he seems to have for somebody who's not fully developed his man strength, he seems to have decent punching power there. So, I'm intrigued. I'm watching Dennis McCann very closely. I think he's a very, very good up and comer. They don't need to rush him. There's no need to rush Dennis McCann. Just see how he gets on at whatever level you have him at. But I'm keen. I'm keen to see how he gets on because I think Dennis McCann, he's looking good. I think Frank Warren he got something good there with that kid. That kid looks talented. But Dennis McCann, definitely, I'm keeping my eyes on him. 100%. 100%. I'm keeping my eyes on him. In terms of this fight, actually, Bet365 should have some better odds on this fight now. Whyte Povetkin. Should be getting going for round betting because I'm thinking that we might have some stoppage. I think we might get a stoppage in this fight. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm going to have a quick gander at Bet365 and we'll just see what rounds we get. So we'll just see what rounds we get. So let's see, because it's funny, whenever they do these big fights and the really big fights, it's like, yeah, we're going for rounds. So let's see what we got. So I think if we're going to get a stoppage, I reckon it's going to be Dylan Whyte stopping Povetkin. And mid-rounds would be the best bet, personally, I think, for Dylan Whyte. So we'll say between rounds 7 to 8. 20 quid returns you 160. That's interesting. They're not really banking on. They're banking more on late than they are early. but the odds are they're shifting, definitely. So I'm just intrigued. I'm intrigued to see how we're going with this fight. But I definitely think it's worth sticking some money on Povetkin late stoppage. Let's see, actually, 25-1 on Povetkin rounds 10 through 12. Let's see what we get on that. Now, I think that if Povetkin is to stop Dylan Whyte, the best bet of him stopping him is late in this fight. That's just what I think. Povetkin tends to start at a decent pace, slow down, and then come back late on. Now, Dylan Whyte late on, I feel that's when he is probably at his most vulnerable. So I'm looking here, and for Povetkin to win in between rounds 10 to 12 via stoppage, of course, that is if Povetkin is to stop Dylan Whyte. I reckon that's the best time to go for it, right? So I have 20 quid to spare, which I do, and I pop it down. I'm getting 520 back. So I'm getting a profit of 500 quid. Now, people, I'm not a betting expert or anything like that. That is not bad. Now, maybe you don't want it. Maybe you're not going to put 20 quid down, which is fair enough. Let's say fiver. Still 130 quid, people. It's 125 quid profit. If I was to go for Dylan Whyte, I would go, I'd probably go around 7 to 9. Wow. Wow. The odds really, wow. Jesus Christ. So, Povetkin to win in rounds 10 to 12, which I think is not likely, but if it was to happen, I think that would be the most likely time frame. Whereas Dylan Whyte, I'm thinking round 7 through 9, you're only getting 100 quid profit. Seriously, you're not getting much of a profit at all on Dylan Whyte. Shows he is a favorite. He is, but I don't know. 6 to 1 for Povetkin to win by a decision. 6 to 1. 6 to 1 to win by a decision. I wouldn't rule out Povetkin winning by decision personally. I mean, that's something that I definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't at all rule out Povetkin winning by a decision. Not even a chance. I think he could easily win a decision. I think they will be fair in this fight. You know, I do. I think they'll be fair in this fight with regards to Dylan Whyte and Povetkin. I don't think we'll get corrupt scoring or anything like that. I think they'll be fair. So Dylan Whyte and Povetkin, I could see him winning a decision. You know, if he starts strong, maybe lets Dylan Whyte fade, come into his own for the few rounds, and Dylan Whyte usually tends to fade. I wouldn't rule it out, man. I wouldn't rule out sneaking some cheeky money on Povetkin to win in the late rounds anyway. So yeah, so there's some interest. There's money to be made on this fight. You know, there's money to be made on this fight. There's definitely money to be made. So there you go. Let's have a look at this chat. Let's pop out the chat again. So I was off there. I was on the Bet365. I always use Bet365, people. That is like my main betting website. If I'm ever doing bets on it, it's Bet365 all the way. Because it's just seriously, I just find they do the best odds. They just do the best odds, and they just give us what we need. So where are we at? Fucking hell. 55 minutes already. Jeez, this has been a quick hour. It has been a quick hour, people. You don't miss it. When I'm streaming and I'm chatting with you guys, I do not miss the time flying. What do we have here? G-Man, how are you doing? Okay. Weird question. How am I doing? I'm doing just fine, mate. Honestly, I am doing A-okay, just fine. You know, it is what it is. I have a G-Man life story podcast coming out probably on Wednesday, actually. I'm bringing the life stories back. I might give a snip on YouTube, I might not, one or the other. But I've got the G-Man Life Story podcast coming out on Wednesday. I say that because I know that for a fact you're one of the guys who are joining me on Patreon. Shout out to you. So I got the G-Man Life Stories coming back on Wednesday. Probably I'll upload that. Just the case of editing, then getting going. And then we will see. So, people, I'm going to call it quits here. In terms of tomorrow, what you have to look forward to, I have them here. And I'm not going to play them. I've got a Canelo versus Avni Yildirim, as we talked about there, video planned. I have an AJ on picking Povetkin to win this fight video planned. I have a Fury and Dylan Whyte video planned on sparring. And then to kill it off in style. Now, this isn't the order I'm going to upload these in, by the way. I might do them in a different order. I'll probably upload the Fury video first, actually, truth be told. But the last video I have is, I don't know if anyone's seen this story. If you have, let me know. Apparently, in fact, I'm actually just going to read it to you because I found it quite funny. I found this laughable. I had to do a video on it. I found it funny. So I'm going to read this out to you here now. I read it in the video, but I'm going to read it out to you guys in the chat here. So, featherweight world champion, and bear this in mind, WBC featherweight 126-pound world champion Gary Russell Jr. has declared that he and Al Heyman today officially sent an offer to Terence Crawford, of all people. If the fight don't happen, this is what Gary Russell Jr. has to say. If the fight don't happen, I want everyone to understand it didn't happen because Crawford didn't want to make the fight. The ball's in your court now. Make something happen. Okay, we're talking about a featherweight. Sorry, I clicked on that again. A featherweight in Gary Russell Jr. wanting to fight Terence Bud Crawford, a welterweight, and saying that if the fight don't happen, it's basically Crawford's fault. I don't know if anyone's seen that, but I had to laugh. I had to laugh when I seen that. I just thought that's crazy. Obviously, I don't believe that's true. I mean, why in God's name would you, like, you're talking about 4 weight division jumping. Gary Russell Jr. is not a big guy. He's only about 5'4". Yeah, I don't see that happening in a month of Sundays, to be honest with you. I really don't. I don't see it happening at all. But people, this is boxing. Strange things have happened. It's like Murray Walker used to say about F1, anything can happen, and it usually does. So boxing is, I've learned to never just take at it at face value in boxing. It's always up in the air. But people, we are just short of the hour. I'm going to call quits on this live stream here. Shout out to everyone in the chat. We had a great time. Smash the like button if you haven't already. I hope you enjoyed this. This is obviously staying up on this channel. It's episode 4 of Let's Talk About Boxing. In terms of this week, I don't know if I'll get another one out. I try and do 1, maybe 2 a week. If I get another Let's Talk About Boxing, it's going to be on Thursday. No, actually, probably be on Friday. I'll probably do a Let's Talk About Boxing. If I do another one this week, it'll be on Friday, probably just ahead of the Whyte Povetkin fight. But it depends how busy I am. So, people, I'm going to leave it here. I hope all you enjoyed it. Everyone in the chat, just a massive shout out to you. For everyone who joined in this stream, thanks for the comments. Thanks for everything. Smash the like button again if you haven't. Enjoy yourselves. Have a good evening. I will talk to you. You'll see me tomorrow. I've got videos coming tomorrow. So I will talk to you all tomorrow. Shout out, people, and good night.